folks to join our room. The one thing that you can do is I'm going to go ahead and pin a link to the top of the room about this space. If you could, please go ahead and retweet that link. That'll get more people in here to see what's going on and understand what we are talking about today. So that is the first link that's pinned to the top. I'm going to go ahead and pin the link of our live stream that's currently happening to the top of the space as well. And you get to see what's going on because we're going to walk through a couple of screen shares to show you what it's like to experience Gitcoin and be able to walk through the process. Okay. On stage with me, if you go ahead and can see the live stream now, we have Glam Gorilla here with us. Welcome. How are you doing today, GM?
I'm so good. I am happy that we're to the end of the round, as I think we all are. Like, so thrilled to be part of the process, but also kind of glad we're coming to the end, so that we can move on to the next phase.
Yeah, same here. I feel like throughout this whole entire process, there's been a number of things that I learned and just wasn't aware of when I started and submitted my grant. Do you feel the same way?
Absolutely. I feel like this has just been one giant learning process, new information every day, which I love because I'm a lifelong learner. But there does come a point where you feel like you're at your fatigue max and you're ready for a nap.
Yeah, I definitely get that feeling and experience that multiple times throughout this entire session. I do want to take some time to introduce like some of the work that we're doing. I know we are waiting for a few more guest speakers to come through and support this cause and to share what they are working on. So before we officially start, maybe you can do some intros, get to know the speakers as we jump into this conversation. So Glam Gorilla, do you mind telling us a little bit more about yourself?
Sure. I am a former financial planner and turned artisanal soap and candle maker, which was kind of more a result of life changes and wanting to be free to be present for my kids. And so I actually started that business by accident. And now, which is in complete alignment with what my grant is about, we have a mission to employ women coming out of domestic violence and provide a flexible work environment for them to be able to be present in their regular life and earn a living wage, while they kind of go forward.
That's amazing. I think the experience that you talked about today is another reason why I'm so excited and bullish on the work that is being done in this grant round. There are a number of different grants that are out there, and they are all doing so many amazing things. But I think why we're so successful in this grant round is because we've been able to take the skills that we have in other spaces and be able to leverage them here to make sure that we're able to support and make the change that we want to see in the Web3 space.
I agree. I'm super inspired by the people that I've met. As you know, like the Quadratic Friends group just has the most amazing people doing really meaningful things. And that makes me feel hopeful about Web3 and just the direction of the world. I'm like, let's multiply, um, because people are doing really important work. I love, for instance, like what We Seed is doing with food apartheid in Raleigh, North Carolina, the work that 40 Acres is doing with pretrial bail and archiving Black and Indigenous history. Actually, someone that I've been trying to connect with is Natives in Tech DAO, who are onboarding natives to Web3. I mean, there's just so many. And I think in the in between, connecting with other people like the Arab Train Web3 is going to be important. There's a lot. So it's so inspiring.
I love it. I love it. I think one thing that I think is interesting too is there are a lot of grants that are having these different missions and doing these different things, but they're still able to find different ways to be very supportive and make sure that they are able to pull people in and work together to make this something positive. So I think that is amazing.
Absolutely. What I realized was more interesting to me is, well, I do love like yourself, Baddies in Tech, Blue Dow, Take Up Space are all about onboarding diverse people into Web3. And I love that so much. I think it's very vital for increasing the goodness that's happening in Web3 and ensuring that we tip the balance and keep it tipped. Um, but I also just get really jazzed about the things that people are doing that are connected to in real life problems that people are struggling with every day. Because for instance, like with mine, mental health is very key, and there are so many people that struggle with their mental health. And I think bringing these things to the forefront and normalizing conversations about them and also actively pursuing solutions is the way forward.
Yes, yes, it definitely is. I think the social good is a great impact, but I think as Ibrahim and 40 Acres start to make their way into the space, I think it's a good time to answer one of the questions that we got into the chat. We had someone share that they went to an event in Santa Monica and was introduced to Gitcoin, but they didn't really know how to do this correctly. So the cool thing about this session is we have a step-by-step guide of how to get all of this stuff started and how to make sure that you feel confident with navigating Gitcoin. So what I'm going to do is actually do a small introduction and really kick this off and make sure that people can understand how to use Gitcoin, how to support these causes, and make sure that we all can make the Web3 we want to see. Just some housekeeping, because I do see we have some new folks in the Twitter space with us currently. If you could, please go ahead and look at the top of the space. We do have a tweet that's out showing us and telling people that we are live now. If you can go ahead and give that a retweet, tag some people that you think will be interested in learning how to get set up and ready to go with Gitcoin. I think that'll be amazing. I am going to go ahead and do the proper onboarding and introduction to this space and welcome everyone here. So just to get started, I'll let the screen do some talking for us. And it'll give us a second to help onboard a couple of our speakers into the space right now. Okay, so today we're going to set up our Gitcoin account. So to get started, we're going to go ahead and click sign in. From here, to access a Gitcoin account, you have to have a GitHub account. So we're going to go through the steps to make one together. If you already have an account, go ahead and log in and you can skip the following steps. Now we're going to be walking through how to set up your Gitcoin account. But before we jump into the next steps of getting set up with GitHub, I want to explain to people a little bit more about what Gitcoin is. It's a really great tool. A lot of people have been talking about it, explaining what it's like to be able to create these open source projects and programs to really get people excited about social good and making the change we want to see in the Web3 space. So that's where Gitcoin comes into play. Gitcoin is a website that you can use to do open source work. Open source work is going to make it sound like something like GitHub, the screen we're currently looking at. But the cool thing with Gitcoin is that this is the Web3 version of how to do open source. So if you have a project and you're building a community and you need some technical assistance, maybe you need a technical writer or anything like that, you can go and use Gitcoin to create these bounties to have different people go out and support your cause. And through this work, you're able to build out different things. Now, what we're doing here is creating an account to make sure that we can go ahead and get up and running to support some of the grants that we have been talking about that we are excited about. And so that's what you're seeing is happening here. Okay. And so if you have questions at any point throughout this session, feel free to go ahead and drop your comments, questions in the comments, raise your hand, come up and be a speaker, join the conversation. All is welcome and all is good. So let's go ahead and get to this and explain how to set up your GitHub account to connect to your Gitcoin account so you can start to interact with the Gitcoin ecosystem. So let's go ahead and create our account. So the first thing we want to do is create a username. We want to then add in our password, our email. Then put in our password. I'm going to uncheck this because this is just a test. I'm going to go back and delete all of these accounts when I'm done. I'm going to show the computer that I am not a robot and go ahead and create the account. I will get an email from GitHub that will go over and have the launch code here. So I'm going to go ahead and enter that from my email. And now I have to authorize to allow Gitcoin to connect here. So now I'm being redirected. All is good. I should have an account created once I'm done. And I see it. We are now logged in as MetaGiving. So if I want to go through this Gitcoin account and explore some grants to give, I get this message that pops up that I want to maximize the amount of money that I'm donating. And the way to do this is to create a passport. And to do that, you have to connect your crypto wallet. So let's go ahead and get started with that. Don't worry, we got you. We're going to be able to walk through all of those steps together. You will be able to create a wallet. If you already have a wallet, that's great. Just bear with us as we get everyone on the same page. And then after that, we will go into detail about the passport and explaining how you can start to think about setting up your passport and some Web3 safety around that. Again, if you have any questions, please make sure you're throwing your questions into the chat that is connected to the bottom of the Twitter space. If you're watching us on any of the other platforms, if you go ahead and send a comment through, we'll be able to see that too. We're excited to be connecting with our Facebook, our LinkedIn, our YouTube, our Twitch community, as well as our Twitter community as we're sitting together in the Twitter spaces. But to keep things going, let's go ahead and go over how to get that, how to get the wallet set up and get those trust bonus score up higher so we can have a bigger impact as we're doing this social good. I'm going to submit my passport or click that submit passport button, but I don't see MetaMask, and that's the wallet that I want to use. So I'm going to walk you through the steps of creating your MetaMask wallet. So I'm going to go ahead and go to MetaMask here. Click on the website. I'm going to go ahead and download for Chrome. That's going to take me to the Chrome store so I can download the extension. I'm going to go ahead and add this to Chrome and follow the steps. So it's going to take a second to load, but now that it's there, I can manage my shortcuts and make sure that it pops up by pinning it here. So that way I can always see it. Now I'm going to go through the steps of creating a MetaMask wallet. So there are a couple of things to make sure you're staying safe with your own crypto wallet. We have a lot of details about that in our Notion doc of how to create a MetaMask wallet. I will link the details to that below, but I'll quickly go over a few things. So to get started, I'm going to go ahead and create a new wallet. Create a password for this. And go ahead and check this box and get to the next step. So this step is very important if this is your first time creating a wallet. You want to make sure you take the time to watch this video and go through and read the additional text. But from a high level, they're telling you you're going to receive a seed phrase, and that seed phrase is a list of words that you want to keep safe, because if anyone accesses this seed phrase, then they have access to everything in your wallet, and that's how people get hacked in this space. So keep this safe. So again, because this is a test wallet, I'm going to show this seed phrase. After I'm done recording this video, this wallet will be deleted. Do not share your seed phrase. You want to keep that safe. Make sure it's locked away in a password manager like 1Password or things like that. So I'm going to make sure that I copy this for the next step. So it wants me to confirm that I make sure that I have the correct seed phrase before moving forward. So I'm just going to go ahead and go through the steps of tapping the right words in the right order to make sure that I let the MetaMask know that I have my seed phrase and all is well. Okay, so got that in, it's all good to go. So again, it's giving you more tips on how to keep that safe, and we're all done. So we officially have a wallet, and this is your wallet address. Again, the Notion doc has more information about what's going on here, but let's go ahead and get back into our Gitcoin setup. So we want to connect to that MetaMask wallet, but we're not seeing it here. So let's go ahead and refresh the page. Once I do that, I'm going to go ahead and submit my passport. I see MetaMask, so I'm going to click on that and grab this over here and connect. And now my wallets are connecting. So I want to go ahead and go to the Gitcoin passport. And from here, what I want to do is connect this wallet. I'm going to go ahead and sign this. And each time you go and you sign with your wallet, what you're doing is saying that it's okay for your wallet to be connected to this website. And this gives us more say in what we connect to and when we connect to it. So Gitcoin wants to make sure that they prevent fraud. One of the ways that they could do this is to have people connect their wallets with other platforms to prove you are who you say you are. So one of the quick and easy ways that I can show you how to do this is to connect to Twitter. So with Twitter, I'm going to go ahead and check off these items as I verify the Twitter. It is going to pop up and ask you to authorize and log in as your Twitter account. Once you do that, you're going to go ahead and connect your Twitter account to your wallet. And so that way Passport knows like, okay, this wallet is connected to this Twitter account. So I'm going to go ahead and sign that because that's what I want to happen. It's going to take some time to verify that information. And once it's done, it's going to stay verified, and I see here. So if I go back to this website, to the Gitcoin website, I see that my matching score is 50%. So if I make a contribution to a grant, the match will be 50%. If I go ahead and continue to connect to different items on the passport, this will grow, so my impact will be bigger. So you want to try to get this to the full 115% so you can have a bigger impact for the projects that you care about. Now, I know that the idea of clicking links and connecting your wallets to accounts that are not yours is definitely not a typical thing that you see or do in Web3. But I just want to let people know that it's okay to do this through the Gitcoin website. You just want to make sure that you're being mindful of the websites, of the wallet that you're using to connect your different accounts to. Because what you're doing is saying that you're creating your digital identity with that wallet by giving it the connections to your other social accounts online. And we know people buy some questionable things when they're having fun with their friends in Web3, but we want to make sure that when we're thinking about our identity, we are using wallets that are not used for other things that we can keep safe and different things like that. So those are some of the things that we want to think about when we are connecting our wallet to get this trust bonus to go up. So let's go ahead and resubmit our passport, because that's how we get it to update and see like what our wallet is connected to. So I am doing that. It's going to do the scoring in the background. And while that's done, look at this. With just connecting that one account, I get my score from 50% to 150. So that way, the donations and contributions that I make to the grants that I'm excited about will have more money to do more good. So that is that on getting set up with our Gitcoin accounts. Again, all right, so I know some people had some questions about how to set up their Gitcoin account. I'm just going to take a moment to see, were we able to answer your questions about how to get set up? I know you're in stage, it is GM 713. Feel free to request to speak or drop additional comments in the chat. We are watching that to make sure that we're able to help you understand what Gitcoin is and how you can make an impact today. If you have any questions, go ahead and let us know. But Glam Gorilla, when you were going through and getting set up with your Gitcoin account, what were some things that were difficult for you as someone who submitted a grant?
Well, as most of you know, this last 3 weeks is my very first introduction to Web3. So all of the steps that you just showed is what I went through. And I initially was trying to do it on my phone because I use my phone for a lot of things, and the mobile version just was not working. I also didn't find it intuitive, the navigation. And so I think, just like anyone else that's new to the space, I felt disoriented, and like where I normally feel confident, I was wondering if I was doing things wrong, and just trying to figure it out. And then I'm sorry, my dog. I actually, the checkout was the hardest part because it kept sticking at checkout and not wanting to let me use the wallet I was trying to use.
Yeah, I think that is something that we have noticed being a issue for a lot of us during this Gitcoin round. We did see that a lot of people were running into some issues getting set up and making sure that they're able to add the funds to their wallet, make sure that they're supporting the causes that they care about. because it is the website was kind of buggy. What we noticed is that a lot of people were donating and trying to give and create grants this time around, and that put a lot of stress on the website. So we are seeing a bit more error messages than we typically see. So it's definitely something harder to navigate. So if anyone is having any trouble doing that or need some extra support, just know that you are not alone. This is not your fault. It's not because you don't understand. This stuff is just complicated. I want to take a moment as we continue this conversation to play a video of the walkthrough of what it's like to go ahead and um, contribute a grant, and that's make a donation to a grant on Gitcoin, as we just bring up our speakers that are here today, and let folks know what it's been like to be a part of this process. So for us, we had to go through and not only add and create these accounts and connect our wallets, but we had to go through the steps of actually creating these grants. I'd love to get the insight on how Ibrahim, who is now here with us, and Glam Gorilla, how did it feel creating grants on this Gitcoin platform this time around?
Ibrahim, why don't you go ahead and speak since I've already been talking?
So I'm not sure that my technical difficulties are over. Can y'all hear me?
We can hear you. Oh, it looks like the tech is not on our side once again. I said this before doing a crown. Oh, are you back? Maybe try turning off your camera to help with some of the bandwidth. There we go. So now try speaking and see if that's a little bit better.
So it seems like it's a little bit better already. I'm so glad to be working with Tech by Choice because they help us make the right tech choices. Thank you.
No worries. But yeah, do you want to explain what it was like to go through the grant process for the Gitcoin grants this time around?
Sure. I'd like to preface this by saying, and I make sure to underscore this with everybody. I really appreciate you speaking to just like the insecurities that people can feel when going through this process, because it's very complicated, and you go from being confident using tech and then you're like, wow, I don't know how to do this at all. So I like to make the comparison about where we're at with Web3 right now to that point in time when we were younger. At least I remember when I was younger, when the internet, you had to like disconnect it from the phone, connect it into the computer, have a weird dial up sound. And that clunkiness and like UX, UI is where we're at with Web3. So I feel like everybody should feel really comfortable with the idea that they don't have it all figured out and that it's not as smooth, and then we work to make it smoother. So what I found was that the first thing is to approach this with patience, because it's not necessarily the smoothest process, especially if you're new to this. But as far as making the donation, I found that adding whatever it is that you're about to purchase to your cart, going to your cart, and when you're in your cart, putting the amount. There are different blockchains that you can use, systems that you can use to pay. I personally advocate for Ethereum, even though it's a little bit more expensive. Generally, I found that the user experience, it was more reliable. But there's also Polygon, which is more affordable, and Z-Sync Cash. So I would ask people to, whether it's DAI or Ethereum, to put in the amount.
Oh no, it looks like we're starting to lose you. I don't know if it's because I'm doing multiple things with the streaming, so maybe we'll instead of streaming the screens, we'll just stream the speakers
That
for
you
a
wanted
moment.
to give to the ecosystem, selecting that. Am I coming in?
We can hear you now.
Now your mic is muted, Ibrahim.
The amount to purchase, hitting standard checkout if you've gone the route that I mentioned, which is Ethereum. And sometimes for a lot of people, I found that this part didn't always flow smoothly. You were best set up for success if
Oh, it looks like we lost you there again. But it seems like you were saying that depending on the different type of currency that you pick, whether you pick DAI, which is a cryptocurrency that is paired with the American dollar, or if you pick Ethereum or anything like that, you have different experiences as far as navigating the website. And I do think that plays a big part in what it's like to understand how to get into the whole social crypto giving space, which I think is a great thing to point out, because as we're starting to help people bridge that gap and start to navigate this space, I think being able to help people make the decision that's the easiest for them based on where they're coming from makes a really big difference in the entire space. Lam Gorilla, I really want to get to you and understand a little bit more about your understanding of the space. But Ibrahim, since we're having some problems with the StreamYard and this part of it, feel free to drop from here and join us in the Twitter space, because you'll be able to hear the conversation and we will be able to get you into the Twitter space and you can join the conversation that way and see if that helps out a bit with the bandwidth it seems that's going on there. Okay. But Glam Gorilla, how was your experience navigating this for the first time?
In terms of creating the grant?
Yeah.
I actually found the grant creation process really easy, because I already had a grant that I was creating about using the same strategies with a different group of people. And so I had the bulk of the writing done and my concept was already set. And onboarding it onto Gitcoin once I had a GitHub account was pretty cake. And then came the part of the waiting, and then after that, I would say, so that getting it onboarded to the system was easy, but getting into what was going to be required of me during the 2 weeks of the live funding round, totally much more intense than I expected. I did not know that it was going to be as sticky for people to onboard to contribute via Gitcoin who are not Web3 natives. And so I basically had to just start networking, making new friends, and explaining my grant to people that I didn't know before. And so I spent a lot of time on Twitter Spaces, just trying to do that. So that was intense.
Yes. The Twitter Spaces is a lot to handle. And I think me coming from a space where for Tech by Choice, we have been a nonprofit for the last almost 4 years now, come December. I thought, oh, I got this. Like, I understand this playbook. I can do what I typically do and everything will be okay. But it was actually quite the opposite. Things were a lot different to do crypto giving versus the regular type of giving that we're used to. So I think the process of creating grants was a lot easier in this space than what I'm used to. So like you said, I kind of had like an idea and a layout that I was able to kind of just copy and paste to make it happen. And that made things a lot easier for me to get up and running. The thing that really stood out to me as something different, and one of the reasons why I was interested in this space, was because of the quadratic matching and what that was like to what that meant for our community. Tech by Choice has been really focused on making sure we're providing a lot of services and good to individuals, and we don't always focus that much or on marketing because we've always taken the idea of, if we can get it right for a small amount of people, then we can get it right for a large amount of people. So that has been our go-to for a while now. Is that kind of a cop out because I don't typically like to do marketing? Yes, but I think it made it a lot easier for us to show our impact and really give the power to the community and to the people to back what they're excited about, what they like, and what they believe in. Because with the quadratic funding, we're able to have a really big impact with just $1 with the matching. Ibrahim, I do see that you're back in the Twitter space. Thank you so much for working through all of these technical difficulties. Wanted to get your insight on your thoughts on what it's been like to navigate the quadratic funding and how that's making an impact on your grant.
Sure. First off, just checking. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Glam Gorilla, are you able to hear him clearly?
I can hear him.
Okay, perfect. So we're good to go with sound.
All right, beautiful. So, in terms of the impact of quadratic funding, first off, just doing this grant as a whole has been really important, I think, for my process, because I've said this before, but I'm very prone to working in the dark and just by myself, and working to just finish what I'm doing and then share with the public, if I share with the public when I'm done. But just being in a place where I know that I needed support and this opportunity arose at perfect timing, I figured it was time to start practicing this process of working out loud. So that's one of the things that I really appreciate GR15 for, and it made it much easier that I was participating in an ecosystem full of people who were already values aligned with me. So I really enjoyed that. I love that, like, GR15, this Gitcoin community, allowed us to cut through the noise of a lot of just the superficial material, aspects of the space, because this space is full of capital, so naturally that exists here. As far as quadratic funding, it's been really, really interesting. I come from a community organizing background, and I've had thousands of conversations with people where I'm like, just $1 a day keeps corrupt landlords away, or you know what I'm saying, like making those pitches for people to donate whatever they can. And I learning about Cesar Chavez and the farmers workers, how he made it a necessity for people to pay membership dues, and that gave people a sense of ownership and signified a sense of commitment to the causes that they were a part of, right? Even if it was just a little bit. So I like the idea of hey, just donate something. It doesn't have to be a lot. I think that lowered the barrier of entry for a lot of people. And for me, that also, to me, signified an entry point for people who are not in the Web3 space, because a lot of people, to interact with crypto and NFTs, they feel that they have to have a lot of money, and oftentimes that's the case. Your average NFT, gas fees, it's not really accessible. But with this grant, I was like, oh, people can interact with crypto, interact with my work, interact with Web3, but at an affordable price. So I got started, and honestly, it was challenging, because of the UI, the UX, just what it takes to onboard somebody into Web3 period, but also particularly into Bitcoin and making a donation. But it was also very fulfilling for every person that I brought on. Knowingly, wow, just how my grandma donated, my my cousins, like my local imam. And now folks are interested in like learning more and talking to me about their ideas about what they could see themselves doing with the technology. So it's cool for all those reasons. I'm still learning the quadratic funding side of things. For a long time, I chose not to, like, I strayed away from asking for big donations because I didn't want that to hurt my ability to fundraise. But I think moving forward, I think the most solid is to get as many people and as much as possible donated to the project. So the as many people like helps with the matching going up, and the as high as possible for those who can't afford it just helps with the initial amount that's given. So I mean those are some of my initial thoughts. I think the fact that I started with 4 days left in the round was challenging too. So I'm really excited. I feel like the idea of that I have like months of prep for GR16, we're as a collective, I think we're going to be so much more set up for success come next round.
No, I love that. I love that. I do know that being able to navigate how to understand and use the quadratic funding as a way to maximize your impact is a conversation we've all been having to understand what steps we can take. But one thing that I wanted to do to highlight some of the impact that quadratic funding has for people is to go ahead and show people what it looks like and how $25 can make such a big difference. Make a big difference to the programs and the organizations we care about. As you can see in the live stream, which if you just entered the room, the pinned tweet at the top is our live stream. So you can see what we're seeing on the screens. You see that 25 DAI for some of these projects has a really great match for to make sure that we're making a really big impact. And again, DAI is just a cryptocurrency that is tied to the US dollar. And that means like 25 DAI is roughly $25. So you can see how these matches go a long way for these organizations. For 50 Millimeter Club, a really great collective, a really great community that is run by Raven, and they have Raven, he's done a lot of work for this space. $25 turns into a $66.83 match for the organization. And as you can see, depending on how many donations and many people are supporting and backing the programs and these organizations and these communities, you can see how big these matches turn into. For one of our friends of Tech by Choices, Path, who is behind Take Up Space, really great organization, $25 in DAI has a $188 match for this organization. So you can see how we can really maximize our impact and make sure that we are doing what we can to make sure these organizations, big and small, can continue. Another one that I want to shout out here is Build Pretty, Onboarding Women to Web3, a great organization to back and support in the Web3 space that is doing a lot of great work. $25 gets them a $12.54 match. And overall, I currently have about 26 grants in my cart at the moment. If I give $25 to all of them, I am spending a total of $650, but my impact is almost at $2,000 with this type of money. And again, thanks to the way that Gitcoin is laid out, if I say $25 is out of my budget to be able to donate to this many grants, I can change this to $1, apply it to all of the grants that are here. Let's change it to $2 because there's some issues with some calculations here. We're going to add that to all of the grants here. And I can see that again, I'm giving out $52 which is a big difference than the $600, right? But $52 still has a huge impact because my total giving is going to be $508.35 for 26 different platforms, organizations, people who are doing good in the space. So quadratic funding, although it can be confusing, it can be hard to really understand. The way that I like to explain it to people is that it's giving power to the people. And so that our dollars go a whole lot further when we're supporting causes we care about. While it's great to give $1, we saw the type of impact giving 25 or 15 can give. So if you have some extra, definitely throw those at the ones that you care about the most, to make sure that these organizations can go much further beyond the Gitcoin giving round and continue to do the good that is out there. I think that this was an amazing space to have. I'm going to go ahead and see if anyone has any more questions about what's going on with Gitcoin. If they have any questions about how to support causes that they care about, go ahead and drop those comments and questions into the chat. If you're on Twitter, make sure you're hitting up our Twitter thread so that we can see those questions and make sure that we're answering them, and getting you back up to make sure you're up to date with what's going on with Gitcoin and how to support these organizations that we love to see make it. Give folks some time to put in their questions. If you're in the Twitter space with us live, feel free to go ahead and request to speak if you have any questions or anything like that. If not, I'm seeing people throwing up some hearts. They're having a good time, and we are too. I just want to take a moment to say thank you to everyone who came by and was able to support a number of different grants that were going on throughout this session. We will be having another version of this Gitcoin party, closing party, and we'll do another one a little bit later today. And during that time, we will be able to say goodbye to the end of this round, celebrate all of the hard work. And again, we did talk about a number of grants in the live stream today. So if you do see any of the grants that you are interested in supporting, please make sure you go through, grab those bit.ly links at the bottom of the screen, head over to those Gitcoin grants and make sure that you are supporting those causes that you enjoy and want to see thrive in this space. We had the wonderful Glam Gorilla come up and be a guest speaker, as well as Ibrahim. Both of these lovely humans have grants that are out there doing really great work. Ibrahim has an amazing grant around called The Tapestry, being able to capture culture and make sure that it is forever on the blockchain, especially parts of oral history that can easily get lost over time. Glam Gorilla has an amazing grant that is supporting and helping people deal with domestic violence. It's one of the only grants that are out there making a change in this space around domestic violence. So those are great grants to go out there and support. And lastly, I would just like to share and shout out Tech by Choice. We are a nonprofit that makes it easier for underestimated groups to interstate and thrive in tech. And right now we have a grant where we're trying to pay people to learn how to get into the tech industry and level up and make sure that tech is actually diverse. So if you enjoyed this space and you like the conversation, if you want to learn how to put together your own Gitcoin grant, stay tuned for later today when we do our closing space. It's our Gitcoin party. We will go over some of those details. We will have a number of other guest speakers come in and talk about their experience, give you some tips and tricks to make it easier for you to go down that next round of matching, to make sure that we all have the ability to make a huge impact on our communities and change the way that people see and view Web3 two in one, because we want to see a better version of the internet out there, and together we can make it happen. Again, thank you for showing up, and I can't wait to see you all in the next Tech by Choice Tech Tea Talks.